Hi, my name's Cory Mayo, licensed realtor with Monument Sotheby's, and welcome to Who's in the House, your podcast for everything coastal Delaware. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way you're updated every time I upload new podcasts or videos. And if at any time you have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse.de as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text 302-466-5511. Now sit back and enjoy this episode of Who's in the House. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Happy to have you, the dynamic duo here. Not many people are aware that you guys actually are a home builder love
story.
Love story, for sure, which is super rare. A lot of people, they hate going to work, so they wouldn't even think about it. And I guess you guys like where you work.
Yeah, very much.
We do. Mm-hmm. We love it.
So came into sales. Both of you, so you're in online sales, and you help on that side. Josh obviously is at Welches Pond, but both of you have been at multiple communities, throughout your tenure with Schell.
Absolutely. This is actually going to be my 11th year.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, with Schell Brothers in June, and I've been part of a number of products from Senators, Bayfront at Rehoboth.
Were you all the way back at Bayfront?
Oh yeah,
okay,
absolutely. Across the street, Villages at Heron Creek. Did a long tenure at Bayside,
okay.
And then most recently, Marsh Island. Over in Lewes was my last community that I did.
Which they're getting ready to close out here.
That's
right, because you opened that community.
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah, and then Josh started at Sawgrass.
Yeah, Sawgrass North. So it'll be 5 years for me this June?
May
with the company. And I started at Sawgrass North. I helped do the launch for Arbor Lynn, then Governors. And
you were at Governors.
Welches Pond. Yeah, I was at Governors for a little over a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, and Welches has been lighting the world on fire for the past couple of years now. When the official launch was like July-ish of
it was
21 or
it'll be 2.5 years.
2.5 years
in March.
Okay.
Since we launched.
Yeah.
So I think it was the exact date was like September 17th.
Oh, was it September? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember, so I was a massive fan of Tidewater Landing. That was one of my favorite go-to communities. And for anyone that has watched my driving tours when Welches started, I was always like, hey, my favorite community was Tidewater. And when it sold out, I was not depressed, but I was like, where do I take people? And then Welches came up, and I was like, it's even better.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah. And the developer there, I think, has a more refined vision for the community than even Tidewater was.
Yeah, it's so the developer's J Lamb, and they just make beautiful communities. Yeah. From the way they just kind of flow to the curb appeal.
Yeah.
It's just it stands out above others.
And some unique stuff like the thicket, is a simple concept, but it's really nice. When I only saw it for a couple of weeks, and then they took everything down, but the hammocks and like those like swinging chairs and super, super cool.
It's just a spot to hang out. Welches is unique in the fact, at least for me, it's the first community I've worked in where there's amenity locations spread throughout the entire community. So it's not just a centralized area. So it's spread out for the entire community use. That's really unique.
Yeah, I think, and that keeps people from, number one, jamming up into one spot.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And then also, I don't want to say it forces you, but you utilize the whole community. So, you hang out with, it's golf cart community. Can you drive golf carts there?
Yeah, you can have carts.
So hop on your golf cart and cruise over to the thicket, or maybe you go to the pool and then you want to have some wine as the sun's setting or whatever. So it really is awesome. And then obviously as the community will progress, there's going to eventually be that pavilion that's going to be down on the Love Creek with, I can only imagine, are going to be amazing views of the Love Creek. So
yeah, it's going to be beautiful as well, right near the water.
Lots of nature that you guys have there on site, and like tall, mature trees, and it just creates a really nice feel, even as soon as you drive in.
It is, and it's the setting, and one of the most appealing things of the community, and this comes completely from customers and homeowners, is we're close to everything. Being just 1.25 miles off of Route 1, and everything that's along Coastal Highway. But when you get into Welches Pond, you'll notice that the majority of the community is made up of sites that are on a pond or back to mature forest. So it just gives you a more private, like slower setting, peaceful.
Yeah, I tell my clients, as you're pulling into the entrance of the community, it's like you fast forwarded like 30 miles inland, even though you're still only like a mile and a quarter away. Like, it's so quiet, and there's always this breeze. Like, whenever I shoot videos outside, I love it and I hate it. I always just, sorry for the wind noise, but that's one of the advantages, is you always have this like nice breeze kind of going through, and you hear the leaves, and it's corny, but whatever. But I think it's cool. I think it's that was the one thing I always said about Tidewater. I tell clients, get out of your car, close your eyes, and just listen, because a lot of communities, they don't have that. Those like tall trees, mature trees, and it's special. But the thing that's even more so with Welches is I think it's one of the very, very few communities, if not maybe one of the only, that has more acreage than home sites.
It is. So there's 247 home sites, but there's 260 acres of community. So that's, again, another very rare thing in the area, to have less homes than land.
Yeah, because most communities, it's the opposite. I don't want to say you're trying to squeeze 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, but the developer's job is to make money, and they make money by putting as many home sites as possible in a community. So they're putting as many as they can within that. So it's normally the other way. If it was, 200 acres, there would be maybe 250 home sites. So that's why when you go into Welches, at least in my opinion, it has that unique feel, and
it does.
And all of the trees, everywhere you look, you're seeing something in the background, at least, these trees and everything.
And there's a thoughtfulness that was certainly, comes into play when they were developing that site plan, just with, like Josh was saying, with the home sites and backing up to trees and open space. And then when you drive through, you're just going to notice that there is a lot more elbow room and spaces dedicated to just being open. So it's just a really, really nice touch that they have out there. So it's certainly unique.
Well, and for people that have never been on the developing side or the builder side that has influence on the developer side of things, when you go into a community, sometimes you'll go in and a lot of times people say, "Oh, this has a cookie cutter feel to it." So part of that is elevations and homes that, while yes, they change the look of the elevation, they don't do enough that it truly looks different. But the other aspect is when you're developing, you're laying out your roads. If you do a straight shot road, it's the most efficient way of making money. The disadvantage is that you have a straight shot of just seeing mailboxes go all the way down for whatever it is, 500 yards with, gables of roofs all the way down the road.
Yeah.
Versus if you're willing to give up some money and add some details and make the roads wind, now you're getting smaller snapshots of the road, and it looks much more elegant, in my humble opinion. But which is a feature of Welches Pond. They have a lot of those kind of winding roads, which cuts back on that.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm driving people through the community. I call it the oh my gosh factor.
Yeah.
Because like you're going around these looping roads, and each time you go around a curve, you see something new.
Absolutely.
Everyone's, oh my gosh, look at that, or what's that house? So it's right. You're not just seeing everyone's garage down a 500-yard street.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference in the community.
Well, and especially, the houses that are in Welches Pond, all communities that Shells are building, and they build beautiful homes, but there are some pretty significant homes in Welches Pond. I hardly ever take a client through there and they go, I don't know, these homes are just a little too small for me.
Yeah.
But the community also ranges. I know, there's a Montauk in there, which is, 1,800, 2,000 square feet.
It's like 1,600 square
16,
foot.
yeah.
So we have 11 plans in there, and they range from the Montauk, which is the smallest, starting at 1,600, up to the Waterford, which is going to start like around 3,400, and then a little bit of everything in between.
Sure.
So, we can, accommodate the customer that wants to come in and, needs a 3-bed, 2-bath, all on one level, and then someone who wants something like what our model home is right now, the Chesapeake, which is, 4,100 square foot, 5 bedrooms and 4 baths. So it appeals to a lot of different people that are in different, times in their lives.
Sure. And because, a lot of the home sites at Welches have some opportunity for basements, you take a home that like a Cassidy, which is a really big ranch home, and then you do a basement on that if the home site they find is able to do so, and now it's a massive home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nice because not all communities can do basements. Obviously, I know not all home sites can do basements, but you guys, on a case by case. A lot of home sites do.
Yeah.
Question for you to kind of go through kind of like a overview of the community.
Yeah.
What have you found kind of the average, after people have done selections, because, as we know, the base price is the base price and no one really sticks with that.
Yeah.
But where do you see people are ranging from on the low side and then on the high side, obviously, and everywhere in between? Like where do you find that to be?
Sure. And this is something I go over with customers all the time, and the answer is probably a little bit longer or more detailed in Welches Pond because we offer so many floor plans.
Sure, yeah.
So if we're just going on averages, what are we seeing most people end up price-wise when it's all said and done? Most folks are somewhere between like the $9 to $950 mark.
Okay.
But if it's one of the smaller plans, or if we're not putting as much in, we'll see people, in the $8s.
Okay.
And we've had people that have just thrown the kitchen sink at the home, and they're well over $1 million. So it really just depends on, the floor plan, the home site, and what we're trying to accomplish in the house, like what your vision is.
Yeah.
So again, a little bit of a longer answer probably, but
no, but that's fair. But the one thing that I've found, with some clients is that some people they come in and we sit down and we go through a discovery meeting. We're starting to like narrow down on communities, and obviously it's always Welches Pond is always one of those communities that is on the list because who doesn't love a Ferrari type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want it, but maybe I don't have the price point. But it's like, hey, if you're willing to maybe roll back on some square footage or some features, we might be able to make it work. Whereas another community make it more features, but one thing you can't do to your house is move it.
Correct.
So if you really love the feel of it, you could do a Montauk or a Wimbrel in those probably in that 8 range. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And another thing too, and Grace can probably attest to this, a lot of folks that maybe have been in a home for 20, 25 years or something like that, they'll come and look at a Schell Brothers home, and they might realize that the included features that come with our house, might be what they were thinking were upgrades or something they would have to spend money on. So a lot of times we'll get doing pricing with people, and they'll be pleasantly surprised. Well, I have granite countertops in my kitchen already. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I don't have to spend some money on. So there's ways to maneuver around it.
No, but there's also, and this speaks to not, if we're comparing builder to builder, there's also a ton of things that people don't notice when they walk into a Schell model. A lot of those things do translate over to, for the most basic house all the way up to the biggest house. Mm-hmm. Simple things like window casings.
Windows and door casings, that's a big one. True.
A lot of builders, especially national builders, their drywall will just wrap around the corner. And so you don't realize when all of a sudden you walk in, you're like, why does this feel special? Like, what about this? Something is different. Mm-hmm. And it's the additional trim work, it's the taller baseboards and door casings and stuff that is standard features, even up and above things like the included granite and whatnot, which is huge. And you guys also, recently, and by recently, I think maybe a year now or so, increased the amount of included wood floor in the house as well, which is a huge savings also because hardwood floors is a big ticket item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we included the great room into all the floor plans now, so that's going to come with the included hardwood is the 3-inch oak.
The 3-inch oak,
3-inch
and
oak, yeah.
It was already in your foyer and in your kitchen, and now it extends through that great room.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of making a more like cohesive, just transition as far as the flooring is concerned, especially when you have an open concept. That's super important.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, sometimes maybe they've stretched on some things, so they try to, when you start to dial back, and it's like, well, maybe I'll be okay with the carpet in my great room. Mm-hmm. And so now they pull the wood out, and I'm sure it's still lovely, and they absolutely love it. But if that was all wood, at the end of the day, 6 months, a year, 2 years later, they're not gonna have that. I wish we'd done the wood, because now it's included feature, and and that's
exactly.
Absolutely 100%. It has that flow from the door all the way through to now. Your more, I call them private living spaces, your bedrooms, and the flex rooms. Flex rooms, yeah. So that's awesome. HOA at Welches Pond is how much and what all is included with that HOA?
Yeah, so it's going to be $295 a month. The services that it's going to provide for you, it's going to be lawn service, and that entails your cuttings, your edgings, your cleanups, trash every week, recycling every other week, snow removal on the streets, upkeep of the amenities as they're put in, and then just general community maintenance. So upkeep of the monuments and the roads and the sidewalks.
Yeah. I know the pool and clubhouse are not in yet, but they are obviously going to be coming.
Yes.
Is there an ETA as kind of, where anticipated date for that is?
Working on that still.
Okay.
Trying to get a date for that. But
it's a big job.
It is. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
But quick overview of like the main community center. It's going to be about 4,000 square foot building, outdoor pool. There'll be a gym or a fitness center. And then just all the cool stuff that we put in the community centers, probably some pool tables, shuffleboard, some TVs, some bars, indoor and outdoor. There's going to be a big community screen porch attached to that.
Oh, that's cool.
With like a big like Game of Thrones fireplace out there, which is going to be super cool. I'm excited to see that. So it's going to be really nice.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of communities, and I don't have the answer on Welch's. Are you guys building the clubhouse and amenities there, or is someone else? I know a lot of times you guys tend to at least spearhead that project.
Yeah, it's kind of like a partnership.
Yeah.
I do believe that one of our special projects managers is going to be, in charge of like the day-to-day operations of that, though.
And like design and like the flow, and I think that's for me on this side and working with clients, it's important because I live in a community that unfortunately is not Schell Brothers, and that's because I needed a lot of kids, and that was a long time ago. But our clubhouse was the developer. There's a builder and the developer just bids the job out to the cheapest. So it's like a rectangular clubhouse, and it's a rectangular pool, and that's it.
Yeah.
To where when I found that in your communities, when you guys have an influence, at least from a design and layout standpoint, number one, the level is much higher than, say, the typical clubhouse and amenities. But also the vibe from like your living room to your clubhouse has that similar style, which is nice. It makes the whole experience in your community to be more cohesive.
And you have seen that across our various communities where the clubhouse aesthetic really reflects the community vibe. I mean, if you look at like Saddle Ridge, Tidewater, and a lot of these amenities, again, just being thoughtful, are built from customer feedback. So when folks are talking about the communities that they live in and what they wish they had and how they're using these amenities, we're listening. And you're going to see that be incorporated in a lot of our amenities moving forward across our various communities. So.
Yeah, well, and when you think about, I think that, our mindset in general, when we think about buying a home, and this is just, decade after decade or generational, you're buying bedrooms, bathrooms, and kind of the interior or exterior part of your home site. Whereas when you're buying in a community style living, and this is, compared to like a house on the grid, type scenario, you're buying your house and your living room is about, but you're buying into the whole lifestyle and environment of your entire community. So that price point is, yes, for your home that you're building, but how does it look when your friends pull into the community? What do the monuments look like? Are there fountains? How is the HOA set up for maintenance and keeping the community looking beautiful, and how your amenities and whatnot? Because that's all. When my friends come over and we hop on the golf cart, we're one of the few people with a golf cart. But they're like, this is crazy. This is so awesome. It's like we're on vacation. And I'm like, yeah, this is just every day. So it's great that you guys have, at least a voice, when working with the developer and have some influence on those amenities, because that's the value of when someone's building in your communities. What they're getting is the level of that. Average home site size in Welch's, kind of where are home sites landing?
Yeah, so the smallest home sites we offer, so everybody starts at a 1/4 acre.
Oh, okay.
So that'd be the smallest you could get, and we have some larger sites in the community throughout that can go even up to 1/3.
Up to 1/3, okay. And that will lead me to let's look at some of the news for Welches Pond, which is, you guys recently had a new phase release. Look at that guy. Who's that?
Oh my gosh.
That guy's handsome.
Handsome devil. 15 pounds ago.
So here is, well, first we'll do like a quick kind of little overview. And this is when I have clients that come in and we do our discovery meeting. And, so again, we normally will go a couple of hours into it before we even talk about homes and stuff. So when we look at communities, I like to kind of give them an idea of the overall layout of the community, what are the local amenities outside of the community? Where do you do your shopping, dining, gas, all that kind of stuff. So if we pull out, Welches Pond is, you said, about a mile and a quarter from Route 1, which is right there at the corner. You're going to have Acme across the street. You're going to have a movie theater, Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, you have pretty much everything on Route 1. As we come into the community, this would be coming from Coastal Highway, turn left into the community. This is the main entrance here. And then as you stroll through multiple different directions, you'll come across the bridge, which was just built last summer, I believe.
Yeah, it was completed this past summer.
Cross over into the next future phases here, and then this will be back where your views of the Love Creek will be. I know that there's discussions, and obviously you won't have answers until you're actually able to submit a permit, but there's potential maybe of some access to Love Creek, so long as DenRec is okay with it, if and when that time comes along, or where's discussion with that?
Yeah, it's planned.
You just don't know, obviously. Until,
I don't really. That is going to go in with phase 6, which will be the final phase.
Yeah.
And if I had to guess, they're just not going to approve that before we even get back
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, why would they before they have any idea?
But
surrounding communities haven't had a problem, but you can't make a guarantee until you have the signed papers in hand.
Yeah.
But definitely we'll have this kind of circled back here with the pavilion with views of the Love Creek. So the most recent phase, building kind of came in, back and around, and then back up, and now you're in this area. This phase is probably, I know Devers was a huge, you did like 11 sales in like 7 days or something there, because that was awesome. But this new phase here, you've got some wooded home sites, you've got pond views. What have you what's kind of your input on this new phase?
Yeah, so it's the 4th overall phase release for the community. And because of the size of it, we split it into half. The yellow sites on High Plains and at the bottom of Flatbush is what we released for sale.
Okay.
And then those 95 through 83 is the second half, which we'll release over the next coming months.
Okay.
Once the pond that's behind those is finished. But yeah, we've had positive feedback so far. We were fortunate enough to get 3 quick ones up on the board, right when we did the release. And again, it's a collection of pond sites and wooded sites, which is really the theme for the community.
Sure. On your home sites, obviously you've got 11 floor plans, and they range from the Waterford down to the Montauk, and those floor plans are going to range in width and size and height. With the Chesapeake and probably the Mayberry, are those the 2 widest?
The Mayberry, yeah.
And then from a depth standpoint, probably the Cassidy is the deepest.
Yep, Cassidy.
So on these home sites, are there home sites that you know of that definitely don't fit, or as an average, do you find that most homes will fit on most home sites?
So the standard plan for all 11 fit everywhere.
Wow.
It's just sometimes some of the luxury owner suite options in the Cassidy, if we do the ones that extend backwards, sometimes can cross a rear building line. But we do have the ones that bump off the side to accommodate that.
Sure.
Other than that, we really don't run into many fit issues in Welches Pond.
And that's because your base home sites are a quarter and go up from there. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really, I mean, there's plenty of communities that, not necessarily with you guys, but there are communities to where we have a lot of offerings on home site or floor plans, and then you pick a home site and it's like, well, that one doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. And then now you're narrowed down to like 3 that fit on my particular home site. So, and that's probably, and I'm just kind of guessing, shooting from the hip, that's influence from you guys with the developer of like, hey, let's try to make these fit so that way all of our.
Yeah. The idea was to limit folks as little as possible in here. As far as like where they can be and what home type and stuff. So that's kind of why, every home site and its standard fits everywhere.
Yeah. And these are all Courtyard Series homes, which are, for anyone that's watched my boring driving tour videos. I always talk about the wider, more center door traditional style home.
Yeah.
And these are, I had a client in this weekend. He goes, "Oh, look, this community doesn't have swales. It's curbed and sidewalked." You know, I'm like, you've been watching my driving tours. This is the curbed and sidewalk community. So all of your stormwater is managed underground. And you have a natural pond, Welches Pond, which is obviously controlled by Mother Nature, whether it is wet or dry. But, you know, having that is huge. We don't have a ton of natural ponds, you know, that, you know, number one, draw wildlife, which is, you know, kind of a cool feature. There was a beaver that was back there, I know, in the very beginning.
They're still back there.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
They're dropping trees.
That's super cool. Because there's a huge, you know, DENREC required a huge buffer of trees.
Yeah.
Like 100 feet or something of trees, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, so from the homes on Welch's Way to where the actual pond sits, it's 100-foot buffer of trees all the way around that we could not impede on.
That's awesome.
And it's like a preservation area.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that's because it's something that's so rare, you know, of having a natural pond. It's great that, I mean, I think it's great, you know. Forget DENREC, it's just great for the community and the vibe of the community of like, I mean, number one, it's called Welches Pond. So this is the Welches Pond that you're like kind of preserving that and having that be like a staple point for the community and not just kind of, you know, going in there, let's put a house in the middle. So obviously we have, you know, current phase here, average lot premiums, where you kind of seeing the lot premiums come in at.
Yeah, so the pond sites, they're going to be, you know, 20 to 30,000.
Oh, that's not bad.
The wooded sites right now are 45 or 50,000.
Yeah.
And then as you know, kind of move away from the pond and get kind of towards like the corners and the edges, you know, you can get premiums that are like 10, 15,000.
And for people that are watching, if you haven't been here on Flatbush, and this is the best time to really see because this is when there's no leaves on the trees. So when you're looking at behind here is a previous community that building has been going on. If you come here and you're standing on the road and you're looking through, I mean, this is dense trees. So even with the trees gone, it's still super dense. So, you know, the vast majority spring through fall when the leaves, you know, all the foliage is on the trees. It's rare because a lot of communities that just do that like 20-foot buffer of trees. I don't know exactly how big that is. If we look here and this is 100 feet and we kind of compare, that's got to, I don't know, you know, maybe.
It's significant.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good word. That's a good way of describing.
It is.
Yeah, back myself in the corner.
Don't even call them wooded sites. You know, they're forest sites.
Yeah.
They sit on the forest.
Yep.
You know.
Which is great because, you know, you only know that these homes are there if you've gotten in a helicopter, which none of us have, and see. Otherwise, I mean, it's almost invisible because of how deep those trees are.
Yeah.
So that's what's, you know, really nice. These are truly, you know, super private home sites that are back here. You in Welches Pond are private pools an option?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do them. You know, you always have to take into account the size of your home and, you know, the safety regulations for placing a pool.
Yeah.
But they are allowed by the community.
The HOA allows it,
you
know, so long as, you know, county allows it, you know, based upon size. So, cool, awesome, because not all communities allow you to do a private pool. And I think that there's some communities, you know, people just say, hey, I've got a community pool here. I don't need one, and I don't have any, you know, ambition for it. But with this, having a lot of these bigger homes, I mean, I know I've had a number of clients that are like, no, I plan on using the public pool, but I also want to be able to swim at 11 o'clock with friends, you know, if you want to. So it's nice. You know from Marsh Island, that was one of those communities that they touted the fact that you can do your
fences
own.
And pools. That's
yeah,
it.
Fences and pools.
So once this next phase opens up, is there word about the next direction on the future phases?
Yeah. So after we released those home sites in the 80s and the 90s, we're going to go to phase 5, which is that first grouping of homes across that bridge.
Oh, okay.
East Bridge Loop. So it'll be Saxony Drive and East Bridge Loop is phase 5, and all the remaining home sites will be the final phase.
And then this is what, back where you call the sport court, which is this like a multi-line, like tennis, pickleball? Is there basketball or?
It's going to have all those. It's going to be a multi-use court.
Cool.
So it'll be a tennis court, and then that breaks down to 2 pickleball courts, and then I think it's a 3/4 court basketball.
Oh, really? Not many communities are doing basketball.
No.
Which I think it's like such a simple thing just to put a hoop there, and it's cool, especially if you have like kids that are coming down or grandkids that are coming down.
Absolutely.
It's just something fun to do. Hop on the golf cart and cruise them down there. That's cool. So now, as far as living outside of the community, proximity to the beaches. I mean, obviously, we're drive-on people that move here. A lot of times, the first thing they buy is a Jeep. You gotta get a Jeep, or something 4-wheel drive to drive on the beach. Getting onto the beach, which would, if you go to Cape Henlopen, is you've probably mapped it out. Probably better than I do.
Yeah, it's about 4.5 miles. To the public beach in Lewes, and then it's probably, I'd say, 4 3/4 to Cape Henlopen State Park there, where you can get to all those drive-on beaches.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to be passing downtown Lewes in order to get there, so you're even closer. And for anyone that hasn't been to downtown Lewes, you got to do that. It's
so much fun,
so cute, so quaint down here. And then getting into Rehoboth, you would obviously come out Cedar Grove and go to Route 1 and make a right. You're probably 7-ish.
It's like 6.5.
6.5.
And you can, what's nice about Welch's is you can kind of snake a couple of those back roads.
Yep.
So
True.
you can pop out on Route 1 like right when you just have to. So
all the way down by Big Chill, right?
Those are a
right
secret.
by.
Yeah. I mean, all the way down by. We're just gonna tell you what roads you take.
Yeah. So that's nice too. And it's one of the benefits of the community. We're almost right in the middle of the two big beach towns down here.
Yeah. And obviously in season we talk about time and distance, which can be different depending on what time of day it is. But the nice thing is you have the option. You can go as with the Arbor Lynn thing, left or right.
That's right.
That's right.
Left for Lewes, right for Rehoboth. But it's the same thing. You can do that. The other cool thing is that there's people. I think one thing that's forgotten is that there's a lot of stuff that's inland.
Yeah.
If you go into Millsboro, if you're into boating, your boat's going to be probably somewhere on the bay. You don't have to go and fight traffic to get to your boat. You can come out and make a left and go down and use Robinsonville Road to get into slips that are on the bay. Going to, I know I talk about it a lot. I have like this obsession with Paradise Grill. Go to
me too.
Paradise Grill for some summer fun. And dining. But also 113, there's a ton of stores. Your BJ's and Super Walmarts and all of those are there. So you can snake back and use the back roads to get there. And like literally on noon on a Saturday in July, really hit minimal traffic getting to 113, which is cool. So again, that with your contract comes all these secrets of back roads to use. We don't we don't really release that here on the podcast. So amenities, whenever the amenities, and I think one of the big things for me with Welch's, for people that haven't visited it yet, it's just one of those communities you've got to try on for size. And again, sometimes, it may fit right. You just don't have the budget for it, and that's totally fine. There's something for everybody. But if you have that, you're looking for a home of that level, and you're looking for a community of that level, you gotta, if you're checking out other communities in this price point, you gotta check this one out. It's one of my favorites personally. But I just think that it really, it's the trees and it's the thoughtfulness of the developer. I really think they did a fantastic job with it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So I think that really is some of the high level stuff that I really wanted to review with Welch's, because again, it's just one of those communities, and a lot of people fall in love with it quickly. So I just want to make sure that people know all about it and make sure that you're getting in there. A quick question, for you from a personal standpoint, how do you guys feel about when clients come in with representation?
I love it. And I wish that more people, you said with representation, right? Yeah. I wish more people would use that resource, because not only are you getting, especially, if you're linking up with a Cory Mayo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're getting an education on the area. Before you even get in a car, you talked about the discovery meeting where you're sitting here and you're understanding their needs and what they're looking for, and you're showing these areas, and then you're going to go to them, and then they just come in with a very good understanding of the new construction process, this communities, what the whole process is going to look like, and it's someone that works for you. So especially if you're not familiar with the area and you're coming down and you're needing that tour and you're needing that education, I mean, having representation just makes the process so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely find a lot of people, we know, Josh and I both worked for the same builder at the same time. Another Josh that I worked with at another builder. Yeah. But yeah, people just would drive around. They just pull into communities and just had really no idea why they're necessarily pulling into the community. And, and Welch's in particular, because it is so easy to fall in love with it, the same way as if you drive like a high-end car, it's so easy to fall in love with it, but you're like, I just don't have the money. Like, why tease yourself? So, but it's so nice to when, to kind of your point, when you have an advocate who knows and understands the area to kind of also introduce you to options that, maybe you never thought of before. So,
and let's not forget. I mean, Schell Brothers as a whole has 15 active communities that we're building in, and they all offer different floor plans and different price points and amenities, and HOA benefits. And having someone on your side that knows that. And that's, part of what I do is I do some online sales consulting and I help people narrow things down. But a well-educated, real estate agent in this area is going to do the same thing for you. Yeah. So instead of visiting, if you want a Schell home, instead of visiting 15 sites, maybe you're only visiting 2, but the time that you're spending there is going to be a lot more meaningful. Yeah. Because your bosses.
Yeah. And you're driving, anyone, 4 to 6 hours each way to get here. It makes sense to be a bit more concise with your times. Absolutely. And rather than trying to hop into each model/community for 20 minutes, sorry, I got to go. I have another place I need to go to. They can come in and talk to Josh and spend the proper amount of time to really allow you to do your job, to start talking about floor plans and really help narrow down through those 11 homes or those 11 floor plans to find the one that fits them properly. I think that's key. And it's funny, I was with a client last night and he said, you're so right. They're not high pressure. And it's coming from, every builder has their way of doing things. And, I appreciate, that comment that he made. He feels as though he can he was meeting with Joe, and that Joe could price something out. And the next question wasn't, so are you ready to sign on the dotted line? He's printed it out and was like, go home, digest this, see what makes sense. If you have questions, call me. I'll make changes. Yeah. You guys are really thoughtful in the process of helping them through. And how can I be your consultant, not I'm a salesperson trying to sell you a home.
That's a big part of it. And I think that's certainly something that people will notice when they come into our models versus other builders' models. I mean, some of our folks are wearing flip-flops.
Yeah. It's some of these folks, are but they should be. I mean, this is the beach. If you're going, I don't know. And I'm on the same card. This is what I do. I wear shorts, and flip-flops all summer long. I say I wear flip-flops until the first snowstorm. This is why we're at the beach. And if you walk into a model and someone's wearing a suit, and look, everyone has their way, and to each their own, that's great. But I want someone to feel like understand what they're buying into down here, and that's our lifestyle.
Absolutely,
we're beach and or flip flops and shorts all day, every day, if possible. So
yeah, I think people just feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it doesn't feel stuffy.
And again, to each their own, and whatever works for you. But that's for us and our team, that's what works for us. We represent. We live here. These are our communities too.
True. Yeah.
So we're kind of selling ourselves as well.
Well, and I think that also speaks to it speaks to you and your community, but it also speaks to the builder as a whole, as to their vibe and kind of what they're doing. I mean, they've got stuff like Schellville. I mean, come on, it's crazy.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Crazy.
So
but it's they're very community based. But it is they're looking at number one. I think this is it kind of speaks back to our initial conversation or sentence of you guys must love where you work, and to the point that obviously that's how you guys met, and that you weren't like grumpy going home every day. They build this environment that you love to go to work every day, and I think that. When you get to go to work wearing flip-flops, that's a happy environment. At least for me, I think.
No, it is, and I think one of the many great things that Schell does is hire good people.
Yeah.
And I think that you'll see that if you can go to any community that we have, and it might be a different salesperson, but it'll still be a similar experience. So they're just really good at just like finding that laid back, just, super in tune, local person that's going to help you through this process.
Yeah, and I think that the builder in general, you guys understand kind of the life of an employee or of a salesperson or whatever you want to call it, consultant, whatever that is, working at a community. So they at times will move you and shift people around, so they're experiencing different communities, experiencing different people, which I think is super healthy also. So
absolutely,
it's just a lot, and I just think that if they're treating their employees that way, I think that's why you guys have so many happy
look at the
clients
tenure,
as well.
of our sales team.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, we have folks that have been here, I think, on the long side, 14 years and 11. And then, most people are on average anywhere, north of 5 and up from there. So that's a big sticking point for sure. Very telling of how, how much people believe in what we're doing, and then also how well, we're treated at this company too.
I mean, they literally will shut the company down for like family days,
family beach day,
which is I'm not, again, a lot of builders, it's about spreadsheets and, black or red, and the fact that they're willing to like shut the company down for, and it happens a couple times.
It does
as well
throughout the year.
That's huge.
The whole happiness thing isn't just a thing to sell homes. I mean, we really live by it.
Yeah.
And they use a lot of resources to make sure that we're happy and we're taken care of, because when you do that, you take care of your customers and your homeowners, and that all just kind of falls downhill.
But the biggest thing, and this is what I hear from my side, and you guys may not hear it as much because you also will do things on like certain holidays. You guys will close down, whereas other ones are like, we're open, come see us. The number of clients of mine that are happy that you guys are closed, they're like, that's great, we'll wait another day. I'm glad to hear that they so appreciate it, because I think in our society nowadays with, Walmart's opening, every hour earlier on Black Friday and now into Thanksgiving, I think that there's just this appreciation for, family as far as family, and family as far as, your work environment, because if they're working with happy employees, that means that they're going to get a better experience.
Yep, that's what it's all about.
So it's huge. It's huge. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome. Sure, definitely would love to do this again in a couple months to kind of see how things are progressing and kind of keep everyone on top of what's going on at Welches Pond.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This was fun. Thanks, man.
All right, guys.
See you.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Who's in the House. If you still have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse, as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text any questions to 302-466-5511. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. And in the meantime, keep an eye out for our next episodes. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.